What's up, guys? Happy Friday. It's January 24th. I'm Chuck Silver. This is Smitty. We're here with Occupy Fantasy to bring you the strategy for DraftKings and FanDuel. We've had a pretty good week. Pretty good stuff going on in the Discord. I think we've had good information on the show. Some of these slates have been kind of annoying, but we have a fun one today. We're waiting on the Charlotte news. That's probably going to shape a lot of what we do. Smitty, how are we feeling?
Yeah, pretty good, man. It's kind of nice to have a little three gamer after everything we've been doing. So, nice little relaxing three-game slate. Still quite a bit of news, but overall, it should be a pretty good one.
Yeah, we just need that news on LaMelo and Miles Bridges. We learned that Brandon Miller had wrist surgery. He's out for the season. It's unfortunate. Charlotte will come back. Hopefully, they'll be good next year. Mark Williams kind of emerged. Mark Williams going to be a huge spot on the slate. And then the guy that Smitty and I were talking the most about the show is Donovan Clingan and what to do with his minutes because Robert Williams and Aiden are both out for Portland. So we'll have to see there. This is like I don't know. I looked if LaMelo's out, this is just one of the best games for fantasy I've ever seen.
Yeah, it definitely is. I know there's some late news we're kind of waiting on, but it'd be pretty hard to avoid a lot of these spots.
Heath, good to see you. Alabama Jones, nice. Unicorn Love, it is money time. Yeah, Swerve, we like the short slates, and today's a short one. Like 3 games, plus it ends in like a small amount of time. We don't have to wait for that night game. What's the best value play on FanDuel? I'm going to say probably Donovan Clingan. Yeah, model has Donovan Clingan as clearly the best play over there. Best value play on DK2. We haven't projected for 23 and a half minutes. I don't know. That's a tough one because you give him plus or minus 4 minutes, he's going to end up in all of your lineups or just a few. So we'll get to that when we talk about Portland. 3-gamer, big money, yes, sir. What up, Big J Grams? Clingan was your lock. Yeah, we'll take a look at him. Smitty, this is a good question from Deep Pope. So I haven't been very profitable in NBA DFS. I late swap. I think I get a good handle on who's good value. I read the NBA DFS article about NBA. Been at it for a long time. Could use some tips.
That's tough. I think it comes down to like what kind of contest you're playing, contest selection, and figure out what you're good at. Like, are you good at single entry or MME or 20 max? Like, everyone's good at certain things. Like me, I'm better at 150 max, 20 max contests.
Yeah, same here. I've been trying to transition to play more small field stuff, but I'm better at identifying the lower owned value. Hitting the chalk has been my leak this season. And so, I mean, if you're playing NBA DFS every day, especially GPPs, we've talked about this on a few streams recently, but you got to understand you're mostly going to be in a downswing until you win a tournament. You have to win because just cashing isn't going to be enough. You're probably going to cash 1 out of 5 times, let's say on average, if you're an average player playing a single entry every day, right? You're going to ship, like, let's say it's 1,000-person single entry that you're playing. Like, yeah, your chances of winning are higher, but on average, you're probably going to only win that contest once every like 6 years. And so it's a long process. And, we're kind of just playing this game to have a few good wins a year and, get wins along the way to not decimate our bankroll. But yeah, just contest selection, bankroll management, and NBA DFS is hard. It's really hard to be successful. Not that many people are very profitable doing it. So, uh, just keep grinding. If you're putting in the work, you're doing more than most people. So, I'm of a very big belief that if you put in more work, you will improve. So, just keep putting in work.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I grinded the 5 cent and 25 cent contests on FanDuel, playing like $37 a day for a full season before I was comfortable investing more money. But I use that time to learn the game. So use these small contests, lower buy-ins to learn the game, and I still enter those contests. I mean, it's 2 extra clicks. So I mean, this
Yep.
is something you'll be doing for a while if you're playing DFS of any sport.
Yeah, definitely.
Usually play 20 max. Yeah, 20 max is my bread and butter over on DK anyway. It's just the $4 20 max, $1 20 max. It's really good because you just, I don't know, 20 versus 150. If you're good at curating a small set of lineups, I think it's better for most people. All right, let's jump into the first game, Smitty. Let's talk about Portland first, since we kind of already know what's going on with them. Did we get those guys ruled in, or they're still just probable? We might have just got that.
Um,
Let me see.
I think they're still probable.
Oh, we got
Oh
the
yeah,
we got the Blazers starting lineup, so it looks like everyone that we expected to be in is in. Simons, Kamara, Avdia, Grant, Klingon. So yeah, I mentioned Klingon's going to be a big spot on the slate. Models telling us he's the top value of the day. 4K on DK, 38 on FanDuel, center only. 30% on DK doesn't sound that bad. 50% center only on FanDuel. There's only 6 starting centers to pick from today, but Donovan Klingon, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's the question of the slate. We have him for 23 and a half minutes. If I give him 23 and a half, he looks pretty good. Um, but that's kind of the decision point on this slate. Like, I currently have him for 22 minutes, so I'm not getting there as much as the field is. I'm underweight, and I'm okay with that. I think he has a wide range of outcomes, and I don't know. He takes up a center spot, but he also there's a chance he could play 18, 19 minutes, and then you're really not happy with having a lot of Donovan Klingon. But if he gets into that 25, 26 minute range, you definitely are. He hasn't played a game in 10 days, and in that game he played 22 minutes. He's been out with the left ankle sprain. It's kind of hard to see them really pushing up his minutes. So I think the low 20s is a safe bet, but 22 feels like a pretty safe for me.
So let's say his minutes are on the lower side. Where do you anticipate? Like, what do you think Portland does with these backup center minutes? Who gets that run? Is it like because Jabari Walker? I mean, he played yesterday. He had a great first half. I don't even know if he scored a fantasy point in the second half. Is there anyone else you're looking at as a backup center? Like I was thinking maybe Denny could run backup center a little bit, maybe when Mark Williams is off the court.
Yeah, the way I kind of thought about it too is I kind of think it will be similar to yesterday's rotations. Like they're pretty much just going to swap Time Lord out for Klingon. So I kind of think it will be pretty similar. I think Jabari will get a lot of the backup five. Like they'll pretty much split, but then you're going to have some 5 minutes for possibly Denny, maybe Jeremy Grant even draws a few minutes at the five when Charlotte's not playing real big. So I think there's a few different scenarios that can make some of these other guys pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it's like these 3 centers, Aiton, Klingon, and Robert Williams, have been rotating in and out all season. So it's kind of hard to even kind of predict what the rotation is going to be when one of these guys misses. And so I don't know. Maybe we'll get some kind of coach speak from Billups before the game. If maybe he gave us like Klingons on a 24 minutes limit, that would be great. We could just plug him in for 24 and be done with it. Uh,
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, over on DK, my highest exposure on actually on both sides, my highest exposure on this team is Jeremy Grant, and I thought I liked him before I even looked at the model today, but I don't know if I like him at 40% of my exposures, even though it's only a 3 gamer.
Yeah, I have 22% of him right now on DraftKings. I feel pretty good about it.
I'll mention Denny Avdia. My favorite tournament play on this team, 13 and 21%, a little bit lower owned than the rest of these guys. I'd like to be a little bit over the field I currently am. Value scores okay, doesn't stand out or anything. Ownership is reasonable. It's just those backup center minutes I think are pretty valuable, and if Denny can get that, especially against Charlotte, seems pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. I'm overweight Denny right now. I think he's a pretty good play. You got to hope he closes. Like they just kind of rotate who closes, whoever's playing well. But Denny's been playing pretty good. I like going there.
And then my boy Tumani Kamara had a huge game yesterday. Kind of wish he didn't because I feel like that's influencing his ownership a little bit today. But the main point is that the minutes are there, and Chauncey Billups seems very comfortable playing him. Elite defensive player, I think Steve Kerr called. Was it Steve Kerr? One of the other coaches gave him a huge compliment. And Chauncey has no problem playing this guy big minutes. So I like looking at him too. It's kind of awkward because he's a similar price to Jeremy Grant, but my top lineup actually has both of them right now.
Yeah, I think Kamara is pretty good as well. Good positional eligibility. Pretty good play for a 3 game slate.
Yeah, and after Klingon, he's actually the top points per dollar play on this team. Klingon, Kamara, Grant, and then there's a little bit of a whatever to Anthony Simons, who's he's fine. Not super excited about getting to him. Just kind of shows up in lineups, I guess, at the price.
Yeah, I'm actually overweight on Simons right now. Don't really care for it. Like it's not like I love Simons, but like you said, he just kind of fits, and he has point guard, shooting guard eligible.
So yesterday we saw Shaden Sharp and Scoot both come off the bench. wait, we have that starting lineup already. Yeah, those guys are both coming off the bench today. If this was a larger slate, I don't think we'd really need to discuss them that much. But because there's only 3 games and their price, well, Shaden Sharp's price is reasonable. I think Scoot's definitely overpriced, but we're also getting him at one of the lowest ownerships on the slate. What's the interest level here? We have Scoot for 26 minutes and Shaden Sharp also for 26 minutes.
Not really getting to a ton. I have 1% Shaden Sharp, and it's hard to like really force him into your lineups, but I think he's okay. And then Scoot, I'm not really getting there. I'd have to bump him quite a bit in order to get him. So kind of tough to get there.
Yeah, I got 1% Sharp on FanDuel, 0 on DK, and I got none of Scoot. So this is a beyond the model, beyond projections play. You're gonna have to manually bump him, but I just don't know. Like, I don't think you bump him just like hoping he has a good game. I think maybe you have to see something in the rotation, or I don't know. Simons is going to leave after the first quarter with illness, like we've been seeing so much lately.
Yeah, I mean this team's trying to lose games, so maybe it's possible. Scoot probably has the higher upside, but he's also cost more. So I prefer probably getting to Shaden Sharp.
Yeah, just Scoot's price to start, and he's not starting, so it's like minus at least 8 minutes, I would say.
Yep.
Going with 2 centers tonight, Klingon and Williams. Mark Williams, yeah, that's probably going to be the chalk build, I would think.
Yep. It's your cash game.
On a short slate, when people say to game stack, is that 100% game stack? And my lines are only a portion. I would say just a portion. I'm assuming stacking a tight game that could go to OT. I guess, Smitty, do you have any response to this?
Yeah, I don't really do anything like that. Like if I was building a single entry, I think it'd be more important. Like you could like say Charlotte and Portland, you think it's going to be the closest game on the slate, and then you're kind of hoping the other games blow out. So you have like 3 players from each team. Like I could see that.
Yeah, I don't think I want to force a certain game stack. It's just if the players from those teams work out at the prices and positions. And then, like, maybe if I need a tiebreaker between 2 players at a similar salary, if one of them has a game stack
There it is.
correlation with another player in my lineup, then I'll use that as a tiebreaker and play the guy in the same game.
We just got Ball and Bridges out
Boom, baby. All
and
right.
Curry.
All right. We'll wait a few minutes for Charlotte to update.
So don't play like a lot of that stuff's irrelevant now.
Yeah, I mean, so since we spent 20 minutes talking about Portland, we'll just talk about them for another 2 minutes. I still like these guys. It's just we're probably going to get a little bit less of them now because Charlotte is going to be the chalk, and we'll let the model tell us who to play. But I don't think we can get away here. Everyone is just way too cheap, and this is a nut matchup for Charlotte to be rolling out a G League team today.
Yeah, so now if you do want a game stack, I think it makes a lot of sense. You're going to be playing a lot of Charlotte either way. So if you want to throw in a Simons or a Grant and just play for a competitive game, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I think we're just naturally gonna. Oh, I already uploaded my lineups. I was gonna say my dummy. I just plugged in all the value, assuming Lamelo would miss, and I had like 8,000 left over for the last 3 positions. So it is gonna be a tough one. This is gonna be a chalky slate, fellas. We got to take some risks. I think we pivot off the studs more so than the value. Like just
Yeah.
get the studs rotating in and out of your lineups.
Yep.
What do we think about Grant from Portland, 5,400 on FanDuel? A few minutes ago, I liked him. We'll see if we still like him a lot. Yeah, I still like him. Don't like him less. It's just it's a matter of how well the Charlotte guys stack up now. Walker as a pivot, yeah, I think that's a good option. I mean, it's an easy way to get leverage. To be honest, the percentage of time it works out is probably kind of low. But if it does work out, it gives you just such a huge leg up on the slate. Like let's say Klingon picks up 3 fouls in the first or something. Yeah, Time Lord's out. Denny screwed you last night for props. Well, Robert Williams played a few more minutes, I think, than we had projected for him, and he was just scooping up a bunch of rebounds. And I thought Denny was playing fine. He lost like half a rotation in the first half, though. That kind of hurt him. He was actually in my top scoring lineup last night. That kind of hurt. Going back to him, though, because you love toxic vibes. I mean, you play NBA DFS.
I had a really good lineup with Jalen Johnson, of course.
Dude, Jalen Johnson was a disaster yesterday. 7 fantasy points, left the game after like 6 minutes.
Yeah, he's going to be out for a little bit.
DeJounte Murray and McCollum, or DeJounte and Garland. So it's basically Garland or McCollum.
That's tough. I like
Yeah,
both of them.
model has them basically exactly tied, and honestly, everything's the same. Flip a coin, maybe. If you have a Philadelphia player in there, maybe Garland, or could just be because it's okay to play like two, studs from the same team today, CJ and Dejounte. That's not a problem. Allen from Cleveland looks nice tonight. Yep. Guys, I'm just stalling time for the Charlotte update. We have the time today, so don't worry. Leaving Grant out every time you take him, he's crap. He took more than 10 shots the other night, which is huge for him. Or more than 11 shots, I should say. He took 14 2 games ago. These aren't great. I will mention nothing to mention. It's just not great, but he's
He's
cheap
had
and
a
we only have 3 games.
he's had a 25% usage, which is pretty solid for 5,400.
I would expect that to go up tonight too. Yeah, I mean, he did play 42 minutes a month ago, I guess. So he's probably almost physically capable of it. He's been back for a few games. If we can get one of these games where he's taking 19, 16, 14 shots, we'll be pretty happy with that.
Yep.
Is it time to fire up Saloon? I hope not.
He's in the G League.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think we were looking at him today. And then let's take a look at top Yahoo values, and we'll jump to the next game while we wait for the update.
Karis LeVert's out.
Karis LeVert's out. All right, so we'll start with the Philadelphia side there then. Yeah, I thought Nick Smith already looked good, though, so he's going to be one of the top values. Mark Williams, of course. Yahoo, looks pretty standard today. Let's talk about Philadelphia right now. I know we're going to be jumping around the weird games, guys. Sorry, but we need to wait for the model to update, or we're just wasting our breath. Philadelphia. What do you want to do here?
Right now, I'm getting to the most of Paul George on DraftKings and FanDuel. I know he's been pretty bad, but with him beat off the court, he's been good fantasy wise. So I'm fine going there. He has a good price, 8K, good positional eligibility, and then getting to a little bit of Yabusele, but I am under the field on him. I just think the ceiling's kind of limited there, and he's going against the Cavs, so not really something I want to play into a ton of ownership. And then Maxey. I think Maxey can be played as a pivot on DraftKings to some of the other higher owned studs. And then on FanDuel, where he's pulling a lot of ownership, kind of wouldn't want to get there as much. So I think he's a better play on DraftKings.
On that note about Yabu's ceiling, because I've said that like a dozen times this season, I agree. But with Drummond out, Caleb Martin's also out, Adam Bona's the backup center. I don't know if Yabusele's playing well. I think he has the potential to play because we have him projected for 31 minutes, and I don't think we can project him for any more than that. But if he ends up playing an extra 3, 4, 5 minutes, because I see it two ways. It's a tough matchup against Cleveland, and so it's going to be harder for him to score fantasy points. But they also probably need him on the court more. Adam Bona's been playing well, so it's not a disaster to give him minutes. And Pete Nance is kind of lurking too. But I don't mind Yabusele. The tough thing is just positionality, since we already love a lot of centers today, and he's going to take up that power forward spot.
Yeah. Pete Nance.
Yeah, Pete Nance, dude. It's a 3-game slate. Is this a beyond the model play where you just throw him like 14 minutes?
I don't know.
We probably have him projected for 2, 3 minutes. If we even have him projected for minutes, that's why he doesn't show up in the model. I want to point out with Maxey. So I've been on the fade Maxey train, but it's like the things that I pointed out about him, his efficiency did tank with Joel Embiid on the court, but it doesn't matter because he's actually getting assists, and he's actually like 52, 50%, 43, 40, 37. This is actually better than I expected him to shoot. From 3, he's shooting like crap, which is to be expected. But he has not strung together. Like, this was a good shooting game. This was a good shooting game. 13 for 32, though. Like, dude, this is bad. With that said, I actually don't mind getting to him today because we have all the value. We have to spend the salary somewhere. And if he ends up being one of the leading scorers on the slate, you probably just need him no matter what.
Yeah.
I will point out Tyrese Maxey down here. He is the worst pay-up stud. I know LaMelo's still in there, but like Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson, Mark Williams, Ja Morant are all showing up as better plays, pure projection than Tyrese Maxey. And they're all cheaper. Jared Allen's a similar play. Donovan Mitchell is a similar play. And so just keep that in mind. You're overpaying for the leverage, but he's kind of owned on FanDuel, so maybe this is a better play to make on DraftKings.
Yeah, and I kind of assume his ownership probably comes up now on both sides with no LaMelo.
Yep, just people got to spend the salary, so Yeah, we'll see that go up. Paul George, I hate it, but we have to go somewhere. So I have some there. And then Eric Gordon still looks fine if he's going to come in at 3%. What was your interest in Justin Edwards?
Um, I'm getting to a few percent of Justin Edwards, but just looks like a pivot to some of the Charlotte value we have now.
And then I'll mention Kelly Oubre, 6K on DK. I'm still getting there. 68 on FanDuel. I don't know how he's coming in 21%, but I might force in a few percent of him over there.
Yeah, that seems a little elevated. Not getting to that much, but I think he looks okay.
There's no way he comes in because I didn't get close to 20%, and I have him higher than he should be. So,
Yeah, I don't even have 20% on DraftKings.
right? Yeah, I don't have close to that on either side. It's kind of weird. Yeah, not even on DraftKings. I have to bump him a couple more minutes, I guess. Model still updating for Charlotte. I think we were waiting for Cleveland to take Karras out. Let's wait on that. All right, let's jump to this last game since what news are we waiting on for New Orleans?
Nothing.
Perfect, dude. Perfect.
Yep.
So the starting point that I want to start with here is this guy showing up in half my lineups, Javonte Green. Do you like him?
No. Especially with Charlotte now. But either way, I wasn't going to play him. It's almost considered just taking him out of my pool, but I'm just going to be really underweight on him. Just not the kind of guy I want in my lineup. He could score like 5, and I mean, what's the point? So, and then like another point is like he's not gonna bury you either. Like the odds of him going out there and scoring like 30, it's just not gonna happen. So I think he's a pretty good fade.
Yeah, I actually thought he was going to come in a little bit higher owned, but I don't hate getting away. With that said, the model thinks he's okay for value on DK. It's okay for value. I should say he's good for value on DK, okay for value on FanDuel. And if he's actually this 18-20%, I think that's pretty reasonable. But I don't know. Watch how the model updates because I think he's going to go up.
Yeah, different sites have him projected differently, so uh, there's really I don't know what he'll come in at.
Actually, I don't know if it's going to go up because this still has to adjust for the Charlotte value, pulling more ownership now too. So I don't know. Just watch that closer to lock. I'll talk about the other value here of S. Missy. He is the top value on this team, looking really good on FanDuel, even though he's center only. So we do have some decisions versus those other two value centers we talked about. But the price is good. 14% ownership on both sides seems great. I think he's a good GPP play at that ownership.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good as well. 5,100 on DraftKings, 5,300 on FanDuel. Looks like a pretty good pivot to Yabusele, or you could even play him in the same lineup.
We haven't projected for 27 minutes. I'll point out, let me just pull this by centers. By DK value, Missy's fifth, 5,300. Other than Edie, he's pulling, much lower ownership than the rest. I think we can consider that pivot. And then over on FanDuel, he's the fourth best center. Jared Allen has that power forward eligibility, so we'll call him third. And we haven't even talked about Zach Edie yet, who I also think is a pretty great GPP play today, more so on DraftKings. CJ and DeJounte at the top. I guess we'll throw Trey Murphy in that category now too. What do you want to do with these ownership exposures? Because I kind of want to flip it. I want less DeJounte and I want to play more of these other two.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at too. I think CJ's been playing really good. I want to play more CJ and Trey Murphy than I do DeJounte, but I think they all three look good. This is the highest total game by quite a bit. As long as New Orleans can stay in this game, and I kind of think they can. They've been playing pretty good. I think they all look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, CJ, this 44 minutes was with overtime, so figure 39, which is still crazy in regulation, but he had the best game of his career. Imagine making 18 shots in one NBA game. It's insane. 69 fantasy points, basically 3 blocks. Like, dude, CJ's been balling. Pretty volatile play. What was the ownership again? 22 and 21. So I'm not that far over it. I'm not playing 40% CJ. It's fine if you do, though. It's not a bad thing. I was just kind of saying I want to be over on CJ and under on DeJounte, which is what happened on my first run. It's not something I consciously did. It just that's how it projected out.
Yep.
And then Trey Murphy, I don't know. I kind of feel like he gets forgotten a little bit, but he is pulling some decent ownership today. he's just been so consistent on a 3-gamer, especially if you're playing small fields or I guess any of the satellites, which are small fields. Trey Murphy just seems like the best play from this team. The minutes are just this guy's been so good for fantasy.
Yeah, he's just doing a little bit of everything, and if they're going to hang in this game, he's probably a big part of it.
Yeah, and the model likes him. Uh, for OF index, that's pretty good. Value's fine. Better play on FanDuel, according to the model, which the field agrees with. He's pulling more ownership over there. I guess just since we talked about everybody else anyway, any interest in Jose Alvarado or Tice or your boy Jordan Hawkins?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is like Javonte Green. I feel like he has good pivots on his own team. Like you could play Jordan Hawkins or Jose Alvarado. They both have a higher usage than him, and they're not going to play the same minutes. Like Green probably gets 25, 26 minutes, and you're looking at low 20s for both of these guys. But if they're shooting well, they can get extended. And Jose Alvarado, he does take up a point guard, but he's only 3,800. I think he looks like a pretty good pivot. But I prefer going to Jordan Hawkins, which is someone that can get hot. I know 2 games ago he took 9 threes, and he has a 21% usage when he's on the floor. So I think going to Jordan Hawkins, even in limited minutes, he could be a slate winner at 3,400.
Yeah, not a bad pivot off the rest of the guys for value, and pivot off the other value too. So kind of works two ways.
And he kind of takes a hit with some of the Charlotte news, but I still think he's in play.
Well, I'm wondering if he's going to be lower owned now because people are just going to swap to the Charlotte guys because they make more sense. But Hawkins is going to look really good if his ownership drops from this.
Yeah, definitely.
Danny's asking, how do you stack in NBA? I mean, I don't really worry about it too much. I mean, to answer your question, play players from both teams. I guess just be conscious of like who you're playing. Maybe if you're playing a guy who benefits from blowout like Peyton Pritchard, don't play a starter in that same lineup. Vice versa. You have anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Simpson looks good. It's a pretty high risk. Let's see if we can talk about Charlotte yet. Actually, let's wait another minute because the model needs to do a couple more runs.
I hope.
Yeah. Imagine fading Pete Nance. I know, dude. I was a fish that first day that we talked about Pete Nance. Smitty played him, and he put up like 17 fantasy points, dude. That was huge.
That was like 19 and a half, man.
Oh, dude. 19 and a half. I don't want to slander this guy. Niang. Yeah, we'll talk about Niang. When we need to see the Cleveland update for Karis LeVert being ruled out. Is it minus EV to play a cheap hit in the center spot on FanDuel or slate dependent? In general, so it is slate dependent, but in general, I do think it is. Yeah. Today it's different, 3-gamer, but we do have pay up centers in Mark Williams and Jared Allen.
That's what I like about FanDuel.
Yeah, tougher decisions.
You can only play one center, so it's just the easiest way to be different.
Yeah. On today's slate, I just don't know that we have enough pay ups at the other positions. And so I'm not forcing in value centers. I mean, Mark Williams at 15%, even though he's 8,500. He doesn't have teammates today, so we have to keep that in mind. Like, oh, just because he's there by himself, he's going to take up all the usage. I don't know if he's that type of player, but I don't know. Maybe they can just feed him every time and he can take over. Donovan Klingen's not a slouch on defense, but Mark Williams has been one of the best centers in the NBA.
Yeah, Klingen's definitely a more difficult matchup than Ayton is, but we still don't expect him to play a ton.
Yeah. You took Denny Avdia for 8 rebounds. I like that. Yeah, yesterday was tough. I wonder if I might actually take a look at that. Good tip because Robert Williams just snatched a bunch of rebounds from me yesterday. I wonder if his rebounds line is a little bit deflated. Klingen is good. He's not quite the rebounder that Rob Williams is, though. Kennard looks nice at 4,500. Let's take a quick look at Memphis on the other side of this New Orleans game. We have 3 of the pay-up options on the slate: Jaw, Jaren Jackson, Desmond Bane. I know we need to rerun with the Charlotte news, but what's your where are you at on these guys?
I really like Jaren Jackson. This is a good matchup for him, and his ownership reflects it. But then you get the added bonus if Jaw were to sit. I think he looks even better, but even with him in, I'm getting to quite a bit, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yep. I'm getting a pretty decent amount of all of them, the least of Jaw over on FanDuel anyway. Same on DraftKings. Yeah, getting more Bane and JJJ. And then After them, I'm getting a decent amount of my boys. Well, Santi's my boy. Zach Edey is not my boy yet. He will be soon. Both of those value guys, power forward, center. Again, we'll have to see how our ownerships change with the Charlotte news, but I'm thinking they're going to come in a little bit lower. I like both of them as value pivots.
Yeah, Santi's also questionable, so it could be a pretty big break from Memphis. So I really don't know what to do here if I'm going to go in with Jaw out or just leave it as is. It just seems kind of risky to take him out on a 3-game slate.
Yeah, because if you leave him in, maybe you have another roster spot or two. At the very least, you can just straight pivot to CJ or DeJounte or does Trey Murphy have guard eligibility? If you had Jaw in your guard spot, yeah, he does. So you're going to leave a few hundred on the table, but your lineup's not toast, you know. So if you play Jaw, it's a little risky. What's his ownership at? 9 and 24. He might be a pretty great GPP play today. It's a 3-gamer, and everyone's still going to be scared to play him. Both of the other games locked before we'll even get news on this one, probably. So I like that. I like getting over on Jaw, actually. Now that you talk me into it, thanks.
Yeah, I like that too. And I think what you can do is build with Jaw in, but also just kind of give like a manual boost to some of the other guys that would benefit and then just swap around.
Because a tough thing that I'm thinking about now is like, let's say I have Jaw and Jaren Jackson in the lineup with no one else. Like, I'm still going to be left leaving that salary. There's not going to be an upgrade from Jaren Jackson. But just
Yeah.
be conscious of that if you're hand building.
Yep.
Jeremy Grant might drop 20. Dude, he might. Are we leaving salary on the table tonight? Never in NBA. No, like I would never leave more than like 200 or 300 intentionally. And I don't even know if intentionally is the right word there. Like, I would only do that if the players fit in there. Like, I would never be like, all right, I'm leaving 200 to get different. It's not necessary in NBA the way scoring works here. Mark Williams or Jared Allen? What you got, Smitty?
Mark Williams.
Yep. Playing Micic makes you physically sick to your stomach. Well, good thing it's a Friday night. We don't have to go into work tomorrow because we're pretty sure we're going to play a ton of them. Who benefits the most if Jaw sits? I want to say Scottie Pippen Jr., but he's been bad. It's probably Scottie Pippen Jr., though. Yeah, Scottie Pippen. Kennard's a good shout. Yeah.
Kennard started last time.
Okay. Yeah, Kennard.
He's been playing really good either way.
Such a tournament winner when he's low owned. Just play him every day.
That's probably who I plan on getting a little bit overweight on, and then I can kind of swap around. But I plan on being a little overweight on Kennard.
Smitty, is Isaiah Wong with the G League?
I think so.
I don't know who that is.
I know. No, he's not. He's active.
All right, fellas, we have the update for Charlotte. Are you ready?
No.
DK value: Micic, Nick Smith, Cody Martin. I thought Cody Martin was ruled out. Caleb Martin's ruled out. Micic, Nick Smith, Cody Martin, Josh Okogie, new face in Charlotte. He got traded there for a bag of peanuts last week. Don't forget. I think Douche was touting him in the Discord earlier. This might be a sneaky one. People aren't thinking about it, and this is a model-approved pivot. Wondering if the model's still adjusting minutes. These seem a little high, but they're down so many bodies that guys have to play.
Yeah, I kind of like Okogie. I like that. Interested to see what the starting lineup is, but just looking at this overall team, I'm still going to like Mark Williams probably the most. But in terms of the value, really like Nick Smith Jr. The minutes have already been there. He's probably going to play the off-ball role, but he's shown that he can do that. He's probably better that way. So I like Nick Smith, and then Okogie I think looks like a pretty solid pivot.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Charlotte, he's the best value play on the slate. If you take out all these other guys, people are definitely going to go to him last. This 25 minutes projection is insane. Like, I'm sure that's still updating, but is that like way too high or just a little too high, or do you think it's right?
I don't know. I'm looking to see what he played last game.
19 and 13.
Oh, yeah, 19 and 13.
But they're down guys. Miles Bridges, dude, he's basically Miles Bridges light, right? They have the exact same game.
It's like I'd rather play Okogie than Josh Green, personally.
I think I would too. Yeah. Yeah, this is an interesting one, fellas. How many Charlotte players are you going to set any rules? What are you thinking here with groups for these guys?
I'm probably not going to set any rules, being that it's a 3-game slate, but I probably wouldn't want more than 4.
Yeah, I'm thinking like I might set a rule exactly for max 3 of these 4. If it was a larger slate, I would say max 2, but with only a 3 gamer, because the problem is if you play the chalkiest guys, let's say you just play these 3 in a lineup, you play the chalkiest pay ups. I mean, you take one pivot on like a deep shot, sure, but how do you take down a large GPP? For small field, no problem. Do whatever you want in small fields, but in large fields, I feel like we have to do something, right?
Yeah, and we just after going through that game, we just got Jaw and Santi Adama out.
You guys are sitting there like, man, can you guys just talk about the games already? And I wanted to wait. I wanted to stall so we didn't have to talk about it twice. All right, let's finish up Charlotte. Mark Williams still looks great. Obviously, his value score is going to not be as good as the other guys. He costs twice as much, but OF index still double digits. He's projected for all the ownership. I imagine he's going to be super chalky. We have the salary. We can play whoever we want today. Any interest in these backup pivots? Musa Diabite, Kenny, that KJ Simpson, Isaiah Wong, or Daquan Jeffries?
Um, I have a little bit of interest. I haven't decided what I'm doing yet, but it'd probably be KJ Simpson or Jeffries for me. Jeffries is pretty productive when he's out there. KJ Simpson is too, and Micic isn't a good player, so it's possible. Like we've seen
Hey,
Micic benched for KJ
hey,
Simpson before.
we've seen it before. Micic is a good player. All right. Over 3, over 4, 7 fantasy points in 18 minutes. Gosh.
He's so cheap on DraftKings. FanDuel, it's more of a question, I think. But 3 game slate, it's you just play him.
Yeah, I haven't reran my stuff. I imagine I'm going to have a ton of him. He's going to come in higher owned than this. If you want to pivot off him, I do not blame you. But he is, by the model, the best value play on the slate. And just eyeballing it, he's the best value play on the slate. Anything else on Charlotte?
No.
All right, let's talk about Cleveland while we wait for Memphis to update. So Cleveland's playing Philadelphia. Remember, we jumped around games. This is in that first set. We have Dean Wade showing up as good value. He had a good game yesterday, didn't he? We always make fun of him on stream, but
Yeah, he put up like 27, I think.
I mean that's a huge game for him. It could have yesterday. I don't know if it would have made a difference because you needed those PJ Washingtons, whatever, at power forward. But Dean Wade showing up as the best value on this team yet again. You know, a lot of the time we're going to get these 13, 17 fantasy point lines, but once in a while we get a 29er on a 3 game slate when he's only projected for 7 and 12% ownership. You have to have him to win the tournament if that happens tonight. And so I like him.
Yeah, I like Dean Wade as well. I think you could definitely go there.
Max Struess is going to remain in the starting lineup. He's shown up as a decent value, projected for 25 minutes. Has he played 25 minutes? He's been letting both of us down, but I'm going back to him. If the field's going to get away, I don't mind it today. 25 minutes seems kind of high, though, for Struess.
Yeah, probably be more around 23, I think.
Yeah, that seems a little more appropriate, which would knock him down a little bit. He's still going to show up fine. And then Jared Allen, double-digit OF index, really good DK value score. Still a strong FanDuel value score, actually, even at the higher price. I think he's one of the better plays of the day. It's just tough to fit him in lineups because he's a center.
Yeah, I agree. I think he looks pretty good, especially in this matchup. But like you said, it's just kind of tough to fit him. For such a small slate, there is good center options.
And then Donovan and Darius. What are we doing with these two pay ups? I mean, yeah, they're owned 30% plus for both.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. But I think they look fine. It's a pretty decent game to target, I guess. And I prefer Darius just because of his price, but I think they're both pretty decent.
Was Ty Jerome showing up in your lineups?
Yeah, I was already getting to Jerome, so I think Levert out makes him just look even better.
Yeah, we have this might still be updating. We have Ty Jerome projected for 21 minutes. It's probably a fair minutes projection, and he probably would have been chalk if it wasn't for Micic. But I mean, if you want that pivot off him, he's a little bit more expensive. But Ty Jerome is that pivot, or you could just play them both in the same lineup. That's fine.
Yeah, I like that.
Getting Niang as well for value from this team. Getting more of him than Wade. I feel like if I'm just looking at the slate without looking at the model, I prefer Niang, but model tells us Wade's the better play every day.
Yeah, I like Niang as well. I'm getting to quite a bit. I don't know how that changes with this news we've got, but It's hard to project his minutes because he's played like 28, 29 minutes in like two of their last three games. So I think he's a pretty good GPP play.
And I'm going to throw out one more super deep shot because we kind of have more value than we've ever had on this short of a slate before. But Sam Merrill, projected for 1% ownership, not looking good in the model, projected for 20 minutes. But this is the type of player that's, his median projection is not that meaningful. We play him. We're just hoping he comes in and hits 4 threes and gets a couple steals, plays himself into a couple more minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also don't mind getting to Tristan Thompson either. He takes up a center spot, which is rough, but with Levert out, I think Tristan Thompson's going to play the backup center minutes. And I know in the previous game, he even played the blowout. So if you think this game has a chance of blowing out, which Vegas kind of thinks it does, I think Tristan Thompson becomes an interesting play.
Yeah, dude, I don't hate it. First of all, I can't believe Tristan Thompson's still in the NBA and on this team specifically. Like, how is he still in Cleveland, dude?
Yep, it's crazy.
Thompson is bound to be on the outside of the rotation sooner rather than later. Not today, fellas. Evan Mobley's still out.
And then Jalen Tyson's kind of been getting minutes lately with Levert out, and I think you could do worse than him too.
Yeah, I was looking at him. We have a lot of options. This would be like the deepest option if you're playing 150 in that in the big one on DK, 100K
Yeah,
first.
you literally just play him in like one lineup and hope you get the pieces around him.
Right. Let's see if Memphis updated. We'll build a quick. I actually thought we were going to get out of here on time and talk about things in a timely manner. I stalled too much, but we were waiting for news, so it's okay. So we have those guys out of the model. I imagine this is still updating because I mean, are these two the best plays on the slate now? Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane?
No. Well, I don't know. It is the best game environment, so maybe. I do think Jaren Jackson, I was already getting a ton of them, so I think he
Yeah.
becomes even better.
So what I'm looking at is let's consider all the guard value that we have today. Let's sort by DK value. Miocic, Nick Smith, Cody Martin, Wells, Kennard, Strus, Gordon, Ty Jerome, Trey Murphy. And we have some good payups. Desmond Bane. I guess we have a couple good payups. Desmond Bane, Donovan Mitchell, maybe PG, CJ McCollum versus like the forward value and the forward payups. Nick Smith and Cody Martin are both Josh Okogie value. I don't know. It's tough. Not sure what the field's going to do. Probably just mix it up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say too, like Klingon might lose a little bit of ownership off of this Charlotte news too, and I think he probably becomes a better play.
He's only projected for 16 and 25. That seems pretty reasonable to me. He's slightly underpriced for tonight.
Yep.
All right, let's knock out some. We looked at Memphis. As for the backups, since Jaw's out, are we expecting Scottie Pippen to start? We only have him for 21 minutes.
I expect Kennard to get the start again and Pippen to come off the bench. Last time Ja was out, Pippen played, I think it was 16 minutes. So
Okay.
kind of hard to get there. At 3,700 on DraftKings, you could take shots, but I think it's better to start with Kennard. And then if you get that random Pippen starting, then you could just pivot to Pippen.
If Kennard ends up starting, I'm probably going to play a lot of Kennard. I feel like he's going to go way overlooked compared to everyone else. And according to the model, he's not as good of a play, but like this is still a really good value score. It's just everyone else on the slate probably looks better in the model. But if he comes in low owned and he's starting, this might be the spot today.
Yeah, I think so too.
And if Scottie Pippen starts at 3,700, I don't know if people are going to be willing to pivot onto him. We have him for 21 minutes. I'll take some shots if he's starting. So whoever's starting, I'm going to like at point guard. Sixers.
Yeah, and then we got Aldama out too, but I don't know who that really benefits.
Brandon, Gigi Jackson's back in the rotation, so maybe this is the first slate that I get some exposure to him this year.
Man, I'd be pumped to be able to play him.
Dude, this was my guy. I think this is my highest exposed player in NBA best ball this season. I drafted so much of him, and he's contributed exactly 0 points across my hundreds of teams. We know Gigi Jackson is a great fantasy producer. With Jaw out, like JJJ and Bane are still in, so it's not like he's just going to take over the usage. But I don't know. Maybe put this in our back pocket for the next slate. But I would still consider him today.
Yeah.
Hornets starting Micic, Smith Jr., Green, Martin, Mark Williams. They're all in play. All 5 of the starters, and then Josh Okogie off the bench. If you want to look at like KJ Simpson as a pivot, that could be something too. Interesting.
That is some.
Do we have any concern the Blazers starters lose minutes? I always have a concern they lose minutes against the weak Charlotte lineup. It's just Chauncey Billups is a coach, so I'm always scared of their minutes, but I'm playing them as if everything is going to go normal today.
Yeah, 2 tanking teams.
Yeah, it's still, I mean, is this right? 2-point spread still?
I believe so.
Yeah. I thought Portland was no. I thought Portland was favored earlier. Maybe I'm just mistaken.
Closest spread on the slate.
Nick Smith Jr. is going to be so chalky. Yeah, but he's probably the best play on the slate.
Yeah,
one of them.
He is.
Jaw's out. Jeremy Grant more likely to drop $20 and 20 points. Dude, you've been on fire this week, Power. Nice. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I will say too, like with Okogie not starting, I think he's even better.
I like Okogie. Yeah, he's going to go for sure forgotten on this slate. So just bump him a couple minutes and hope he works out. 40% Kennard. You're a risky guy. I like it. Just make sure. Let's build a quick dummy here, Smitty, with the value. We're just going to plug in these Charlotte guys. Micic, Nick Smith. Was Cody Martin number 3 on value? Should we just plug Cody Martin in 2 and see what happens?
Yeah, that's fine.
Mark Williams?
Yep.
All right, yeah, so we talked about how many Charlotte guys. Nothing matters today, dude. Do whatever you want. Leaves us 7,700 for each position. This is what I was talking about when I was hand building earlier. Like, you mentioned you like Jaren Jackson. I think we just have to plug him in since he's the only pay up today. Plus with no Aldama, maybe it's a couple more minutes. I mean, who else are we paying up for? We have to pay for someone. Trey Murphy and Tyrese Maxey?
Yeah, I guess so.
Something like that. I mean, so basically, this is kind of the core. Just mix up whoever you want after that. You could do both of those guys. 4,400, get to one more piece of value. Ty Jerome, Max Strus, Zach Edey. Yeah, I mean, don't intentionally leave salary, but if you end up leaving, $200, $300, $400, it's probably not as bad as I made it out to seem earlier. Conchar? Is Conchar in?
I don't know.
He's in the model for a few minutes. That's a deep one. See if the model updates. I think Jayhawk's in the Discord today. He'll let you know. Scottie Pippen Jr. going to crush. If he ends up starting, maybe. McCollum or Garland. The model has him as literally a coin flip by every metric. So flip a coin, or if there's some correlation in the lineup. All right. Well, Bane and JJJ okay in the same build? Yeah, it's okay to play any 2 teammates today. I think I wouldn't care. But we got to get out of here. We appreciate you guys watching on this Friday. Make smart late swaps. If you're not a member of the site, you want to see how the model updates for late news. Remember, you can sign up for as little as $7 a week. That's $1 a day. Smitty, any final words?
No. Good luck tonight.
Yeah, we'll see you in the Discord. Thanks, guys.